Welcome to the first ever Goodwin Café. I am Anil Nair.
Amit Desai.
And I'm John Francis.
We are Goodwind Moto Tours. Now, what are we trying to do with Goodwin Café? Well, Goodwin Café is an attempt to bring together conversations around motorcycling, touring, gears, riding techniques, safety. What else?
I would say that, this is our fifth year, right? And in August, I think we complete 5 years of touring in India, in Europe, Africa. And with that, I think we've gained some experience, some knowledge, and a lot of connections, customers. And I think this platform is about sharing what we've learned, uh, talking about various topics related to motorcycling, touring, training, riding gear, and these are just some of them that I'm talking about. But yeah, it's an open platform, conversation platform, I think. Yeah. And hopefully, whatever we discuss and talk will be of help to our viewers and listeners.
Yeah, this is about sharing, like Amit said, the knowledge that we've gained from our past riding experiences, from the tours that we've helmed both in India and abroad. And it's important that we felt it's important that we have a platform that where all this can be shared with you all, and that's, I think, the first step towards Goodwin Cafe.
Yeah. I think, let me just put it in this way. It will give you a small glimpse of what really happens on a Goodwin tour after the ride. So conversations that we have with our guests or between us, to try and share that with you, bring it on a platform that is easily available to you on your mobile phones or your laptops. So it's just an attempt, just the beginning. So wish us luck. So this is Goodwin Cafe. Well, before we actually talk about Goodwin Cafe, I think, gentlemen, one of the questions that I often get asked while on a tour or otherwise is, it's a very interesting business, touring, motorcycle touring. And it's also even more interesting is you have three founders. How did we meet? How did this whole thing come about? So a whole lot of people have asked us, people who, I can understand the curiosity, because the truth is none of us are from any travel and tourism background. We are pure motorcycling lovers who didn't start off with an attempt to start a company, but it's an interesting journey. So that's a question. So why don't you guys, attempt to answer that question? And where did we meet?
Yeah. So yeah, interestingly, I mean, all of us have our own individual journey of motorcycling, and my journey is pretty short as compared to y'all. I mean, because I started motorcycling only in 2015 when I got my first Triumph Thruxton Café Racer.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful bike.
Yeah, he went for the ultimate in the first attempt itself. He went and bought a Thruxton.
And I had no idea what I was buying. It was a very impulsive decision.
Yes.
But
that's a word to note.
Yeah, impulsive.
Yeah, and
isn't motorcycling all about it is about the impulses?
But I had no clue actually what I'm buying and what I'm going to do, and I was just in that situation with a friend of mine, and I bought it. And honestly, I didn't know where to go and ride and what to do. I simply used to wake up in the morning and on a weekend and maybe find somebody and just follow and reach somewhere. Until the time when I did the Triumph ride, because we had the Triumph bikes, and I just happened to meet or follow some of you guys on that ride, and that's how I met you and some of our other friends, and then Anil was also in that same ride, and I think that was our first meeting.
I think that your motorcycle was one of the reasons why you got noticed.
Yes.
Because everyone was wondering, who is this guy riding this
who is this
guy on the Thruxton?
Thruxton,
Yeah.
beautiful green.
A
You remember
beautiful
the color?
green
Because I
bike.
still remember the first
Olive
time
green, British green.
I saw
stunning.
this motorcycle on my rear view mirror and say, Uda, wow, such a beautiful bike. In fact, it's the same thing. So, my story about motorcycling is like most guys in India, motorcycle was the mode of transport when you reach a particular age. You pressurize your parents to buy you a motorcycle. So, in the name of I have to go to the tuitions and I have to go to here and
Yeah,
all of
we've
that,
all been through
I
that.
convinced my parents to get me a 100cc. Then I had that for a long time. I rode it a lot. But then, as life catches up with you, you give it all up and you upgrade to the four wheels. But the love for motorcycle never stopped. And as they call the midlife crisis, there was a point that you wanted to get back to motorcycling to rediscover the jollies of life. So I went and bought a Triumph Bonneville. Again, absolute impulse. Thankfully I knew a bit about Triumph Heritage and Bonnies, and I fell in love with the bike and I wanted it. And thankfully it was available in India, because many good bikes
Yeah.
that you want is
Yeah,
never
well,
available in India. But
just
at
not
that
available.
time, 2015, Triumph came to India.
Right.
I bought the Bonnie, and one of the first rides, um, the Triumph rides, Sunday, like 25-30 people turn up on a Sunday morning. We're all going on a ride, and then from the showroom, then I started riding with a person who was next to me and said, "Let's ride together," because I didn't know anyone.
Yeah, we were asked to choose partners,
Our
and I
partner,
think we
yeah,
were standing next to
next to
each
each other.
other. I looked at you, and you looked at me, and we said, "Right together,"
Right
and we
together.
said, "Yeah."
So that's how we met each other, and we started riding. And we rode, came back, exchanged numbers, and next weekend or the
Yeah.
next ride, you were there.
Yeah.
So that's how we met.
I
Random,
I just tagged along.
yeah, random,
Conspiracy of the universe,
Yes,
guys. Conspiracy of the universe.
random motorcycle ride, same manufacturer,
Yeah.
similar, same product, or the same platform called the Bonneville, Thruxton, T100, T100.
300.
So we met, we started riding, and that continued. The journey continued, because then every Sunday morning was a kind of a
Yeah,
ritual,
yeah.
because there was a much larger group that we, like-minded people we met, but some of them were necessarily not from Triumph.
Yeah.
Because it was like one friend get another friend, and we had in no time we had a group of 10, 12 people, out of which minimum 8 would turn up on a Sunday morning
yeah.
for a ride.
I think that was the best thing that happened, that we formed that group, and I think there were a lot of us who were in the same stage when it comes to riding. I mean, somebody had a little bit more experience than the other, but
My journey was a little different.
you were riding.
Actually, that is what so we would start talking about. But the fact is that is the most accomplished rider even before we
I will
got
humbly accept that.
that.
My journey, I got initiated into motorcycling pretty young, because my father had a Java 250 for the longest time, the SD Java. It was a 68 model. And I remember, he used to drop me off to school for a long time on that bike. And then before I started taking the public transport. And that bike was our sole mode of transport till we got a car in the late 80s. And he still used to ride that bike, and I used to be behind him. And that sound of the Java always resonates with me whenever I hear it. The classic bike. Even today, if I see a restored bike going on the road, I just look at it very fondly. And that started, and my love for motorcycles started there. And then when I got into college, I started riding a TVS 50, which was very well known in the South at that time. And I used to tinker with that bike, and then slowly I upgraded. And initially, I made a straight jump from a 50cc to a 175cc. And we used to ride, what do I say? I used to go to college on the bike. And later on, as time went by, when I started working, I upgraded to a regular commuter bike. And then my dream machine that time was a RD and stuff like that, which I did buy in between. I used to ride from Chennai to Pondicherry. So those were my initial trips. It used to take about 3-4 hours. So that those days the motorcycle trips were what I vividly remember. No gear, very basic helmet, and wind in your hair, feeling it was that, right?
And we had hair that time.
And we had at that time, correct. Yeah,
And if
and
the helmet rule wasn't
it wasn't
it wasn't
enforced.
enforced,
Yeah,
it would continue
but
like we would have had air.
yeah, but I still remember that I used to wear a helmet, and that's what I can say today, that that's the reason I'm sitting here, because I had a crash, and the reason I'm sitting here is because that helmet saved me. And I realized the value early on in life, the value of wearing a helmet, and the journey continued. I never gave up motorcycling at any point. I just whenever it could happen, I upgraded to a Royal Enfield 350, and then my long distance journeys started, which basically I started doing the mountains. I fell in love with the mountains, Ladakh, Spiti, Bhutan, and subsequently work shifted to Bombay. I brought the bike with me. It's restored today. It's at home with me, and then your itch to upgrade happens further. That's when we were into classic bikes at that time. I was never the speed guy, the Hayabusa kind of guy. I always loved a laid back classic machine where you ride and you look around the world, right? At the world rather. And I got myself a T100. And that story, at that point in time, I had no clue whom I am going to meet. And I was not looking at group rides. I was doing some solo rides here and there. But it so happened that one day I happened to come, and like Anil said, it's like, it's like
the universe
a conspiracy.
conspired.
Yeah, conspired,
Universe
and
conspired.
that's how we all met.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's been my journey. I don't have count of kilometers. I don't have count of years. It's just how many bikes, how many rides. It's a natural progression, and that's how I'd like to keep it. And today we all ride different bikes. We are into the big tourers because of the comfort, the safety, the tech,
and the business.
and the business. Right. And we genuinely love touring. It's part of our DNA, right? And riding a big bike today, I think is a lot safer on the road because you have fast moving traffic today. Riding a big bike is not about speed. It's, I think, more a secure way of riding and keeping yourself safe.
I think the bikes have become so much better.
Yes,
There's
absolutely.
so much of safety features, electronics. So
lean angle,
lean
sensitive
angles
ABS
and
stuff.
radars, and it's gone almost like a four-wheeler. The bikes are today, they're really good. I mean, in fact, there's spending a lot of money globally on making the riders safe. Yes, there are challenges still with some infrastructure and all of that, but I think the bike companies have come a long way from the time where drum
When we-
brakes
yeah,
and
correct.
all of that when we used to ride that. In fact, John, one of the interesting things is when you talked about SD, and I have a history with SD. When I came to Bombay,
Yes.
I mean, my friends used to joke and say that your purpose of moving from Trivandrum in Kerala to come to Bombay was only one: to buy a Parsi-owned SD Road King.
Lifelong mission.
Yeah, all the education, all the career plans are all secondary. It was for that, and I got one, and I got a in fact it's a long story, but I got one, and I rode that for a year till the time I met with that near fatal accident of mine. So I'm a living testament of that, how close you can go to the other side of the world if you don't wear a helmet. I wasn't wearing a helmet then. I had 18 stitches and barely, made it to the other side. Lesson learned. I won't step out without a helmet anywhere. So that's my SD. But that sound, that's even today when I see that sound, you hear that sound, you can't get that now because the two-stroke.
But, the bikes have always been, technologically advanced. But what I've really seen is the riders are not that advanced when it comes to skill.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
because I'm not saying that nobody is advanced, but people don't give enough importance to skill upgrading
Yes, absolutely.
and the gear, as
Yeah.
you mentioned.
Yeah.
Yes.
And while we buy big bikes, I think it's extremely important that we up our skills and
Yeah.
have the right riding gear.
Amit, you're so right. I've seen people spend lakhs on the bike, but cut on lights, and which is illegal in most of the most parts of the country today. Which is another topic we'll talk about accessories and what are the accessories that you really need to put on the bike. But I see them cutting corners when it comes to protecting themselves, wearing the right kind of gear, all of that. They're all subject matters of long conversation. We must discuss that because that is something that we see on rides. We see people who have like motorcycles that can cost much more than a four-wheeler, but when it comes to spending that bit more for their own safety, taking shortcuts. But gentlemen, another therefore we shared with you what how we met, but which is, so how did Goodwin happen? Okay, so this is where I think I need to just bring in a bit part of it. So many of you know that I've spent a considerable time in advertising, and I was almost 3 decades in advertising. And one of the personal initiatives that I wanted to do was to make a difference to the world that we live in. And my way of doing it was to bring together two very important things to me. One is the joy of motorcycles and riding, and joy of touring, and the other was this making a difference. And I especially personally felt a lot for underprivileged children because I have had some really very soul stirring exposure to some uh, underprivileged children and their lives. So I said, let me actually put these things together and create something, and which was pretty close to what what many people do when they do a marathon. It's like pledging your run for a particular cause. So I said, let me bring that same thing to motorcycling by creating a platform called Goodwind Riding. It was an open platform where any rider could undertake a ride and pledge that ride and raise money for charity. So if you are going, I mean, that's when I notice a whole lot of us are, riding to the mountains. They're going to Ladakh, Spiti, Arunachal, Uttarakhand. There was a lot of rides happening, and I just wanted them to dedicate that ride for a particular charity for a children's cause, and then raise money as a support for this child's cause using social media, and I would help them in the entire process. So it was an open platform, and the gentleman and the group that we talked about earlier, they and John and Amit took a special initiative. So we did rides to Goa, and then when I couldn't attend the next one, the Uttarakhand, where these guys went, and and let me tell you what really happened is that I was hoping to make a small difference in terms of monetary level. So our first Goa ride, we managed to raise a lot of money. My solo endeavors of mountain rides for charity returned far better than I expected, and their Uttarakhand ride also was a phenomenal success. Then a few friends and other bikers started.
I think you did one ride to Bhutan.
I did two.
Or
I did one for Spiti first, and then to Bhutan.
And you, and then we were planning a ride to Uttarakhand when you came and said, okay, why don't you?
Yes.
And I was wondering, what is this platform and how is it going to raise money? We are going for a ride, having a good time. But surprisingly, when we did that, and the amount of money we were able to raise and help these organizations and the underprivileged kids, that was phenomenal.
Yeah,
that was really encouraging. And
no, because nobody, even me, when I started off, John, I never thought the amount of money that such an idea can generate. So like I mean, I absolutely understand the skepticism saying that okay, maybe 10,000 rupees, 15,000 rupees, lakhs of rupees that came out. And so Goodwin riding was happening, but it was happening in let's say, a random manner. I wouldn't say haphazard, a random manner. As and when people had the time, as and when I could convince people to do the ride, it used to happen. But it was not prolific. So in a year, once, twice, and more often than not, it's a bunch of people that I know. In fact, there were other people who were reaching out to me, were helping.
Anil, I think our audience needs to know how Goodwind became our name.
Okay, very interesting. Again, as both of you know, we get asked, and we also battle this mispronunciation of the name as Goodwin. But actually, it's Goodwind Moto Tours, and it's Goodwind is an old sailor term. It's actually from a blessing or may the good winds guide you home. So let good luck come with you. Let the best things come with you. So good wind means everything which is a blessing, everything which is positive. And since is a dear friend who actually gave the name, I felt that name was fantastic because that's what we are trying to do, right?
That's what we need when we are riding.
Well, absolutely, we need all the blessings. We also need to bless or help the children out there. So the goodness that we bring in into our brand and our business is also in Goodwind. So Goodwind riding became Goodwind Moto Tours, and this man sitting here is the reason why it became Goodwind Moto Tours. And Amit, why don't you tell them the story about how the company was formed?
Right. Yeah. So this was back. We have to go back to 2017, right?
17, yeah.
Yeah.
16? 17.
16 or 17,
17.
right? I think 17.
17.
And we were into. I was into my second or third year of riding. We had done some fantastic tours in India. We went to Uttarakhand. We went to Ladakh. We
And
did
these
Goa.
are personal tours.
Personal tours,
Right.
obviously. Goodwin, the company was not formed.
Not formed,
yet.
yeah.
And we were basically having a great time on the bike, right? I was learning a lot of new techniques. You knew all the routes, so we had to wait for your judgment to see where we are going. And
John,
do
the
all
Google
the planning,
Maps.
all that.
John, the Google Maps.
And then we did all these fantastic tours in India, which really elevated the entire experience, right, of riding.
Right.
And then one day, Anil said that, why don't we go for a ride to Croatia? And I was like, I said, right there, I said, let's go. Okay. And then we did the Balkan tour with another tour operator who happens to be one of our rental partners even today. And when we went to Croatia, Slovenia, and Montenegro on that ride, and after a few days of riding, that just opened a completely new world of riding to me. Uh, the roads, the tarmac quality, the way in which those roads were built, and the curves, and everything that I had learned could have, I could just put it all out there and say this is where I can practice it to the max.
The experience.
The experience.
What you are.
Yeah. So the
not to
twisties,
mention the bottles of wine,
and
the amazing food,
and the great meat steak, and
the wonderful,
and the scenery.
yeah,
So
scenery.
it just blew me away completely, that tour. And I still remember that we were in Dubrovnik and having a very good wine in a
Yes.
very good restaurant. And that's
one of the most scenic restaurants that you could, we are overlooking the Adriatic Sea,
which is stunning. And that's when I had this, can I say, epiphany, where we said, okay, we've done some great work in India through Goodwin riding, and because of also the backgrounds we had, like I was into IT and heading Asia Pacific for a long time, and I got lots of opportunities to travel the world. And we said that why can't we take this and offer it to our brothers and sisters in India and Middle East, and anyone who have not traveled abroad or have not done rides internationally. And that's when I just told Anil, casually. We had no plan. I was into IT, he was in advertising, and I said, "Do you think we should take this to another level and make others ride, give this experience to others, and still help the cause of charity and helping these underprivileged children?" And I think that day we put together some numbers
Yes.
after having a few glasses of wine.
Yeah. The numbers started looking
And
better
we said,
with
yeah,
each
it
glass
needs
of
some
wine.
investment, and we can probably put in some money and get started. There was no reason to do that. I don't think we had a great plan, but we just said, okay, let's go back and think about this. And then we went back.
It's almost, if you notice, it's almost like buying the Truxton.
Truxton, yeah.
It
I
was
think
on
all
an
my
impulse.
decisions are like that.
It's on an impulse.
Impulse is the word, yeah.
Impulse is the word.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then we went back and said, let's do it.
Oh, I think on the third or fourth glass, we called John. It's saying that, John, we're starting a company. It happens to be in motorcycle touring. And you are.
And he was in India
he was
doing
in India.
something.
He was in a bit of shoot or something like that. And then,
I
we are
remember
starting
getting that call.
Yeah. And said, you are the third partner.
Yeah. I basically got a call from these two boys who were a couple of wines
Very happy.
down. Yeah, in a happy state. And they said, hey, you know what? This is an idea. This is a plan. And I was in the middle of something. And the moment I just heard 4 lines, touring company, world touring, riding, this, that, it suddenly all exploded in front of me. And it didn't take me much time to just say, guys, whatever you are doing, I'm part of it. And so Dubrovnik looks like the Mecca of Goodwin.
Yeah. Birthplace.
The birthplace of
Yeah.
Goodwin. And on one of the rides on one of the Balkan rides a couple of years back, I joined the 3 of them and we had a glass of wine there.
Yeah. In fact, it is that particular birthplace is marked out and is very much part of our Grand Balkan itinerary, that we do visit that particular restaurant and we do show. In fact, our customers do ask.
Yeah.
We heard that it was born in this place. Where is it? And we said, okay, we'll just go for a walk. And here is the place that Amit and me were sitting down and discussing. And this is where it's born. They said, bless the place.
Dubrovnik, by the way, is the place where the whole chunk of Game of Thrones, large part of it has King's Landing has been shot there. So it's a must see for all the Game of Thrones.
One of the most stunning.
It's a beautiful place. It's a stunning place with a fantastic history as well.
But coming back to the company, it's not that we went back and immediately we formed the company and we started to tour. I think now that we had accepted the idea of forming this company, we spent a considerable amount of time thinking what to do and who do we get on our tours and where to take them and what to do. And I think we spent almost more than a year.
We never had a reference point to begin, right? We never had.
We had our
reference
own
point.
experience.
We had our experience.
We had a reference point, but that was not here. That's all this international, big American and European companies, which we couldn't even think that we could ever aspire to be something like that. So we were looking for something local, small, but we couldn't find any reference point.
Yeah, so it took us almost 18 months to, and obviously we were doing other things. I was into IT, you were advertising, he was making films, and we had to find time and sit together, ideate, and go to the drawing board again and again. And then finally in 2019 August, we launched Goodwin Moto Tours. Got our website, a whole bunch of things. We had a small team, and then we did a few tours successfully, and then COVID happened.
Yeah, it's
So that was
amazing.
the start.
As you know, like Amit said, he was into IT, still into other things. I was in advertising, and now I'm into business. John is still into film. So we found time between all of this and created a company. And there was no reference point. There was no benchmark, and investment. Yeah, and again, investors. I mean, the investors sitting here, right? We put in our own money.
It was purely because of the fun we were having while riding and visiting all these places, and we wanted to share that.
And
It's completely for the love of motorcycling and touring. I think that's
And then we started the company, and we were about to take off. And the plans were, yeah, we will do a whole lot of tours in India. We'll do tours abroad. We will also have international riders coming into India, and we were all set. We decided to participate in one of the largest motorcycling festivals in the world.
Yes.
We didn't have the kind of money, but we committed that money to be a part of their magazine and their so-called event. And March 22nd, India shuts down, and a 5-month-old company is absolutely got smacked on the face, because we were in the most difficult and the most impacted industry, which is tourism.
Yeah. Right.
So everything shut down. I mean, your essentials were also shut down for some time, and the only essentials were open for that.
Yeah.
One, we didn't know when this whole thing is going to come back, or back, will it ever come back?
Yeah.
So that uncertainty was a huge thing. We didn't know when we can plan a ride or even take bookings from people with any surety. So that uncertainty almost lasted for a year.
but I'm glad that we kept the lights on. Okay. And we every opportunity we got, we did something. And I remember we did some 4 or 5 day tours to around Maharashtra, carrying
With permission, COVID certificate, with all the conditions, which kept on changing. It kept on changing. You know, it like you are not allowed, if you're coming from Maharashtra to Karnataka, you need this, but coming back, you need something else. It was crazy, but we still pulled off.
Thankfully there were some brave hearts who said yes, we want to ride, and every window, every opportunity we got, we did something. And if you know, uh, even in those 2 years, which was 2020 and 2021, when everything was restricted, we still managed to do about 4 or 5 tours. 5 tours, yeah.
Because we were sitting at home. I mean, we were just within four walls, and it helped us. It helped us survive, right?
Yeah, I'm saying, maybe it also helped us in terms of thinking more about our business, thinking more, changing our plans, looking at what we are offering. So there was time to contemplate, in a lot of time to contemplate.
I still remember that Uttarakhand tour where we went, two of us, and we had about 4 or 5 of them. It was a small group, and it was one of the most relaxed tours because nobody was traveling at that time. The whole mountains were like open for us. Air was clear, and we just made one itinerary which was like stay in every place for 2 nights. And even today, the guys who were on that tour say, why don't you do something like this? Why can't we just stay everywhere for 2 or more nights? But now I think we've changed a bit.
Yeah, so we've come a long way from that COVID uncertainty, and a young company which was absolutely in faced with almost an existential crisis or a question mark in front of us. So now today, Amit, where are we now in terms of number of tours, number of?
So, yes, today we are in our 5th year of operation. We'll complete our 5 years in August, which is great. It was, and I would say that we've done more than 60 tours over the last 5 years.
3.5 years
which
of operational
three and a
time.
half years in
Of-
real operations, in which we have done plenty of tours in India, to the Himalayas, to South India, to the East, Rajasthan. We've done plenty of tours in Europe. We've done the Balkan, we've done Alps, we've done Greece. We are going to do Turkey, and some more will follow. Italy is coming up. We've opened up Africa. We do South Africa very regularly. We're doing. John is going to Namibia next month for our first Namibia tour, and we are doing some tours in Asia, which is Bhutan,
Thailand, and now I think hopefully next year we should be doing Vietnam and Cambodia in that region. So, yeah, Yes, John is working on a Scotland tour. So you heard it here first. John is.
So, but the key thing here is while we've done 60 tours and that number will keep growing because of the kind of community we have formed of Goodwin riders, and I really take that as the best part of forming Goodwin Moto Tours. Without this company, I wouldn't have met these lovely riders, lovely individuals from various walks of life, and it's really the best takeaway for me to be able to know so many, more than 300 people now.
And
who
out
have
of
done
which
rides with
200
us.
and out of the 300 people who've done tours with us, 200 plus people stay as part of the community, which is very active, who continues to support us, continue
have
to push us.
repeatedly done tours with us.
Yeah, I mean the repeat
Yeah.
customers we have, like we
Yeah,
have had people.
that's-
If we have done,
It's
if we,
overwhelming.
yeah, if overwhelming, if we have
Yeah.
done, if we have like
Thank
10
you.
products, there are people who've done almost all 10.
Yep. Thank you on behalf of all of us. Thank you for that. That's really inspiring.
Yeah. I mean, in
Um,
fact, I would attribute all the success, if at all, I may claim it is a success, to the people and to my customers, to the people who, and there is a term that we use and we actually mean, in every sense, Goodwin family. That family pushes us. The family understood what we have to offer, and that family thinks about us when they're not riding and or touring with us.
And they're the ones helping us to grow the family.
Absolutely. They
Because,
are getting us customers. They are telling us, guys, do this, talk to so and so. And this community is so vibrant that there are, people helping each other, people who are doing business with each other, who met on rides, who have become best friends. So I think we have gained 300 friends, 200 plus great friends. Every city in India that we go to, we have a place to go to and stay. We have and bikes. We were like any city. You go to Hyderabad, you go to Bangalore, you go to Chennai, you go to Coimbatore, you go to Delhi, you go to wherever.
Bahrain,
Oh,
Kuwait,
all of those places. We just have to land up there, and there are people willing to host us, take us for a ride.
give us the best of the bikes to ride.
Right.
it doesn't just stop with the riders, gentlemen. The pillions, the pillions who accompany us and other riders, they have become friends. They are in touch with each other. So it's like it's one big family.
Yeah, I mean, in the last 1 year, I've noticed this, that the pillions have actually become the life of our tours.
They're the decision makers.
They're the decision makers. Absolutely, they are the
In many
decision makers.
cases,
In
yeah,
fact, I'm
yeah.
so glad that so many women who are pillions, who are absolutely confident and adventurous to sit as a pillion behind for a 10 to 12 day tour across all parts of the
Yeah,
world.
it takes a lot.
And it takes a lot. We hats off to them, and they're not exactly in their prime of their youth. Many of them have actually post retirement got into it and bravely doing it and happily doing it, and they are absolutely live wires of the tour. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for all the support. And another trend which has emerged, the female riders. I am so proud to see so many Indian women confidently taking on, high mountains, riding in fast highways in Europe along with us, matching everyone, completely fast changing weather patterns, no problem, and beautiful riders. And their numbers are growing, and we are absolutely delighted that we are giving them a platform on Goodwin. So ladies, a big salute, big hats off, and keep it coming, keep riding. We really, really want to take you to many, many places that we want to go, and your support is absolutely appreciated.
Yeah. On that note, may the good winds blow.